Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of SummerSlam 2025 Night 1, SummerSlam Saturday. Chat room, let me know your thoughts on the show, what you liked, what you didn't like. Let's get right into it. We have 6 matches to discuss. SummerSlam in New Jersey, East Rutherford, MetLife Stadium. Cardi B, famous rapper, made the entrance and opened up the show while reading from her teleprompter. But nonetheless, she was there. We opened up the show with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns in the opening match just seems weird to me. I'm so used to him being in the main event at WWE events. He teamed up with main event Jey Uso against Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. Jey did his big entrance through the stadium. The only negative to the Jey entrance on this show was, even though they had a big crowd, 50,000 plus, there were still some empty seats. You could definitely see them when Jey was doing his entrance. And I'm just saying, in the Vince McMahon era, the Kevin Dunn era, they would make sure not to show those empty seats. Just throwing that out there. Anyways, both teams began brawling as the match began. Roman Reigns and Jey cleared the ring, and Jey did his encore with the yeeting, but then the bad guys took advantage of that. Jey launched himself over the top rope onto both men. Order got restored. We had our regular tag match. Bad guys worked over Jey for a while, and then Roman Reigns made the hot tag. He took out both Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed with a dive to the outside. It was a huge dive from Reigns. He really got some air time. He got Breakker back in the ring, hit the Superman punch, but did not realize that Bronson Reed tagged in. Reed took advantage of this. Then Reed had the upper hand for a while. Bron Breakker came in. He did the bulldog off the top on Jey, and then Reigns managed to make his comeback. He speared Breakker through the barricade on the outside of the ring. Then Roman Reigns and Jey did the 1D to Bronson Reed in the ring, the old 1D Usos finisher, but Breakker came back in, broke up the pin attempt, and then Breakker went for a spear onto Jey Uso, but Roman Reigns took the bullet for his cousin. He took the spear. Jey was able to capitalize, and he got Breakker out of the ring, and then he finished off Bronson Reed, speared Reed, and then hit the Uso splash and got the 1-2-3 victory. It was a fun opening match. It was a very good opening match to start off the show. No surprise here with Roman winning. They were the heavy betting odds favorites. And after the match, Jey showed Roman Reigns some respect, placed the Ula Fala around his neck. It was very solid. It was a nice opening to the pay-per-view. One of the better SummerSlam opening matches. I think I might still go with Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio as my all-time favorite, but it was absolutely up there. Shout out to Caleb Jacobs, who sent in a $5.29 super chat. Thank you for that, Caleb. Caleb says, I love the Hulk Hogan tribute. Nick's suit was cool. The yellow tie with the red shirt. Yes, WWE did acknowledge Hulk Hogan's death on this show. They had a little video for Hogan, and Nick Hogan, Hulk Hogan's son, was there in attendance. Logan Paul even did a little Hulk Hogan tribute during his match. We'll talk more about Logan Paul here in a few moments. Let's get to the next match of the show, which was Raquel and Roxanne Perez defending the tag team titles against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, the not best friends. Raquel and Roxanne were taking advantage of Charlotte and Alexa being indecisive about who would start the match. A little bit of inexperience as a tag team. The champs had the upper hand for a while, but then Alexa came in. She went for the Sister Abigail, but Roxanne Perez raked her in the eyes. Champions took control back. Then Charlotte came in, did a moonsault off the top to both opponents. Could not secure the victory, though. And then Alexa attempted to help Charlotte, but accidentally struck her. Little miscue there. Maybe looked like it was the end for them. However, when Charlotte was taken down from the Tahana Bomb and then the Pop Rocks, Alexa broke up the pin attempt. And then Alexa tagged back in. Alexa was able to hit the Sister Abigail to Roxanne. Charlotte got Raquel out of the ring, and Alexa pinned Roxanne. Tag team titles change hands. As I mentioned on our predictions video, I'm not a big fan of the titles being hot potatoed, but in this case, I think it was the right move because of the fact that Charlotte and Alexa are hot right now as a tag team. And I'm a firm believer in striking the iron when it's hot. I just wish they hadn't changed the titles so many times. And, we had the Liv Morgan injury. It's just unfortunate that the titles haven't been protected very well. I do think it was the right call here. And I feel like I say this every time. I hope that Charlotte and Alexa have a decent length run as the tag team champions. Match itself was okay. It was a SmackDown match. Didn't really need to be on the pay-per-view, but it was all right. And it was a nice moment. It was more about the moment than the actual match. Next up, we had Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. Man, this was a waste of time. This did not need to be on the show. This definitely did not need to be on the pay-per-view. It was a basic Raw TV match, and really it was just a rerun. It was the same story we already saw at Night of Champions. Sami Zayn was fighting hard. Kross was dominant. Kross was yelling out, say it, say it. The same old thing that they've been doing for several weeks now. And then Scarlett handed Kross a steel pipe, and Zayn was able to dodge the steel pipe attack. Scarlett had been distracting the referee. Zayn did the Blue Thunder Bomb, did not get the win, of course. Then Scarlett offered the pipe to Sami Zayn to use it. Zayn thought about it. He was thinking, should he go to the dark side? But he decided not to. He threw the pipe away. And then shortly afterwards, he was able to pin Karrion Kross clean with the Haluva kick. And I feel like Kross is done. There are reports about his contract being up. I mean, this was about as decisive of a win for Sami Zayn as possible. I don't really know where Kross goes from here. I think this was maybe a sign that it's over for him. I don't know. Where does Kross go from here? The match was okay. Maybe Kross can turn babyface and help Sami Zayn. I don't know. But the match itself didn't really add much to what we saw at Night of Champions. It was basically a rerun. Weakest part of the show, in my opinion. Next up, we had Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's title. Now, this match I thought was good, but surprisingly short. This was kind of like a Saturday night's main event match where it was very fast-paced. They were doing all the big moves, no real slow points in the match. It was good, but it felt like for a world title match on one of your biggest shows of the year, they really rushed through it. It was competitive between the two of them. Back and forth. Tiffany did the Swanton Bomb. Jade kicked out at 1. So Jade had a lot in the tank. She used her power. They exchanged strikes. And then Tiffany went for the moonsault. Jade got her feet up. Jade did hit the Jaded. However, Tiffany's foot was on the rope. And then Jade went for an avalanche Jaded, but Tiffany countered the move. And then Tiffany did the prettiest moonsault ever and scored the 1-2-3 victory. Solid match, but again, didn't really feel like a pay-per-view quality match. It was like a Saturday night's main event match. Tiffany got the clean win over Jade, which did surprise me a little bit. I believe Jade was the betting odds favorite for this. I was a bit surprised that Tiffany retained the title, and there was no angle, no run-ins or anything. Tiffany just beat Jade. There you go. Next up, we had Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Good match here. I mean, this went about as I expected. I will say this. Logan Paul really shined here. Jelly Roll did fine. He did seem like he was pretty winded during the match, but it worked in the sense of him not being a wrestler. You know, he's a musician. There were signs probably planted, I don't know, but there were tons of signs in the crowd. Logan is an outsider, and he didn't like that. He took a cheap shot at Jelly Roll, and Jelly Roll demanded that he would start the match. He got in some offense on Logan. Then Drew McIntyre tagged in, and Randy Orton was ready to come in, but Jelly insisted on fighting McIntyre. He did okay, but then McIntyre got the clear upper hand. But then Orton eventually tagged in, and they went to the outside of the ring. And McIntyre took out Orton with the Claymore, and then they double-teamed Jelly. Jelly was knocked out by Logan on the outside. Then McIntyre placed Jelly on the announce table, and Logan came off the top with a beautiful frog splash. I mean, it looked great. He got a ton of airtime. He executed that move perfectly, putting Jelly Roll through the table. One of the best spots of the night, as far as I'm concerned. Really, really great from Logan. Give the guy credit where credit is due. But then Orton was by himself. Jelly was being helped out by officials, and they were carrying him out, but he wanted to help his buddy Randy Orton. So he came back, he tagged in, and he got in a few big moves. He did the boss man slam to McIntyre, and he choke slammed Logan Paul, and he went for the pin, but McIntyre took out Jelly Roll with the Claymore. Randy Orton came in with an RKO to McIntyre, but then Logan Paul threw Orton out of the ring. Logan came off the top with the frog splash, and Logan pinned Jelly Roll. So Jelly Roll lost his debut match. The good guys lost. Another surprise. I cannot recall too many times where the celebrity in his first match lost. And yes, his chokeslam was better than the one on SmackDown. It surprised me a little bit, but maybe Jelly Roll insisted on it and thought that it would be right to put over the active guys. Either way, I thought it was a very respectable showing for Jelly Roll. And as I said, I really feel like Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton were great, but Logan Paul, to me, was the real star of this match. Shout out to Building Nexus, who sent in a $5 super chat, says, Jelly Roll losing is more proof that Triple H is not Vince McMahon. Well, again, I don't know if it was WWE's decision or if Jelly Roll himself felt that it would be best for him to put over the regulars. There are talks about Jelly Roll possibly doing more matches, so he could always come back and be on the chase and win a rematch against Logan Paul, do a one-on-one match, something like that. I'm guessing the door is open for that, and by doing it this way, Jelly Roll can come back for revenge and maybe beat Logan Paul in a singles match at some point. Maybe that's their idea. Either way, I was satisfied with it. Very good match here. And then we had our main event of the evening, Gunther defending the World Heavyweight Championship against CM Punk. Now, before we get to that, shout out to Caleb Jacobs, who sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Caleb. Caleb says, 5th tag title for Alexa and 2nd for Charlotte. Alexa has been around quite a few times as a tag team champion. Charlotte, mostly a singles competitor, but she seems to be having a great time, and this run has gotten her over as a babyface. I'm happy for Charlotte because I know she's been shit on a lot, and she's even gone publicly and expressed how it affected her. I'm very happy for Charlotte that this storyline is working out for her and getting her positive reactions from the fans. All right, let's talk about the main event. Excellent match. These guys had an old school, hard-hitting battle for the World Heavyweight title. They were not holding back. They were laying in their shots. We got the signature chops from Gunther, and Punk was doing chops of his own. Punk was bleeding from the chop, and Gunther was also beat up. His chest was definitely feeling it. They did some mat wrestling. They did the feeling out process. I mean, it was very old school here. I thought it was excellent. I mean, these two, they know exactly what to do in the ring. Other than Gunther stomping the mat instead of Punk, I really don't think they botched anything. Nothing that I really noticed. Gunther did control a lot of it, and the pacing of this was really well done. They didn't do too much too early. They saved all the big moments for the end. And Gunther even busted out the sharpshooter on CM Punk, which I thought was a nice touch for heel heat because we all know Punk's love for Bret Hart. Punk, though, knows the move, and he was able to counter it. And then Gunther countered the GTS, and he did the top rope splash. Punk kicked out of that. And then Gunther did 2 power bombs to Punk, but Punk was able to kick out of those power bombs. They ended up on the outside of the ring, and then Gunther was gloating. He stood up on the table, on the announcer desk. Punk knocked him off. Gunther landed face first on the desk, and then when Gunther rose up from under the desk, he was busted open. We got blood in a WWE match, which doesn't happen too often. Gunther was bleeding, and it really added to the drama in this match. Punk was like a shark that smelled blood. He came off the top with the big elbow drop. However, Gunther countered the GTS with a sleeper hold. Punk, though, managed to escape, and then Punk hit not 1 but 2 GTSs, pinned Gunther 1, 2, 3 to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. CM Punk wins back the title, first world title in WWE since he lost to The Rock at the 2013 Royal Rumble. Great moment for Punk. However, as many of us expected, the Seth Rollins injury. What was going on with that? Well, sure enough, Seth Rollins comes out there on crutches, and the announcers are like, he's got until June to cash in. And it was teased that this was just Rollins letting Punk know that he's on notice for the future. Rollins starts to hobble away, but then he drops his crutches. He runs to the ring. Punk tries to fight him off. And I saw a few comments on Twitter. So people are like, well, why didn't Punk just run away? Because he's not a coward. He's a baby face. He's not going to run away from a fight, even if it's an unfair fight. So that's the reason why. But yeah, Punk tried to fight off Rollins. However, it was too much for him to handle. Rollins took the Money in the Bank briefcase and just blasted him with it repeatedly, multiple times with that briefcase. And then he cashed it in officially, hit the curb stomp, and got the 1-2-3 victory. No Roman Reigns, by the way. Roman Reigns did not come out there. I'm not sure why. You would think that Roman Reigns, maybe he just decided to do what Brock Lesnar does and go home right when his match is over. You would think Roman Reigns would be out there to prevent the cash-in storyline, but no Roman Reigns. Maybe he was jerking off backstage. Who knows? Seth Rollins, Heist of the Century Part 2. He worked us all, except for the fact that all the reports were out that his injury was a work. Oh, well, I will say this. I still think that it was very well executed. It was predictable if you've been following along on the internet and read all the reports, but I think the execution of it was well done. It is interesting, though, that they did a worked injury here to throw people off and think Rollins wasn't going to come back. And then there are all the reports that he's going to cash in at SummerSlam. So that took away from it a little bit. But for what it was, I think they did a very good job with it. And I will say this, too. I liked the fact that Rollins did not cash in and make it a triple threat. Even though I thought, well, wouldn't Rollins want to prevent Punk from winning, period? I like the fact that they did the clean match with Punk and Gunther. And then Rollins cashes in. And then Rollins takes away what Punk just won. So in a way, I think that worked better. And I liked that the Gunther-Punk match wasn't tainted with the whole Money in the Bank situation. I thought that was all well done. I like that. I like Rollins cashing in afterwards. The only thing is, where was Roman Reigns? They could have at least shown Roman backstage, like maybe Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker beat him up or something like that. Although they would have had to show that afterwards, just so we don't get the idea that something's happening, you know. All in all, I really enjoyed the show, other than a few matches in the middle. I thought the opening was very good, and then the middle of the show was kind of just okay. Caleb, I did answer your super chat, by the way. Then it picked up with the Jelly Roll match, and then the main event was excellent. They totally delivered with the main event. I loved that. Cash in, well executed, even though it was predictable. So I do think it was a very good show overall. Shout out to Building Nexus, who sent in a $2 super chat, says, what does this mean for Night 2 and Crown Jewel? Well, Rollins cashed in Money in the Bank, so I think that John Cena and Cody Rhodes don't have to worry about that now. As I said on my Friday stream, I don't expect two baby faces at the end of that match. And now we can rule out the Rollins cash in. I think either John Cena is setting up Cody and will stay a heel and retain, or Cody is going to the dark side and will officially sell his soul to The Rock. I feel like one of those things is going to happen. All in all, I give the show a 7 out of 10. I did think it was very good, mostly due to the main event. That really brought it up. If the main event was kind of lackluster, I might have gone as low as a 5, maybe a 6, depending on what the main event did. But to me, the main event is really the most important thing on the show. I did think it was very average. It almost felt like Saturday night's main event in a stadium. But the main event, I think, was very worthy of being on SummerSlam. I think the main event was one of the better SummerSlam matches in WWE history. I mean, to me, I know it's recency bias, but I think it was a top 10 SummerSlam match. I definitely think it was way up there among the best SummerSlam matches. The rest of the show, take it or leave it. Like I really won't remember too much from the rest, but I did like the Logan Paul stuff, and he was one of the highlights. Credit where credit is due to Logan Paul. And that's it for night one. Night one is a wrap. Night two, I think night two will be better. I think on paper, night two is a stronger card. We got that TLC match. We got the John Cena Cody match, which I'm very intrigued with. And the cage match should be good. I mean, we got a little bit more variety on night two, I think. We had 3 tag matches on night one, which was a bit much. That's all I got for tonight, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube and tell a friend. Spread the word. I will be back Sunday night with a recap of SummerSlam Night 2. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy SummerSlam Night 2. Say yes to no DQ, and I will see you all next time.